Hi, this is Rachel from the blog thislovelylittle.farmhouse.com, and today I'm going to share with you kind of a sequel to my last post, and this is natural birth fail, the 4 things that I'm going to do differently this time with the hopes of a very different outcome. So these are four mistakes that I made that I'm going to do differently this time. So ask any mother, and I'm sure that they will tell you that giving birth for the first time is a huge learning experience. You really don't have any idea what to expect. I mean, you can read about it, and you can listen to stories, and you can prepare as much as you want, but there are so many variables that can completely shape the outcome of your birth. It's just the way it is, because there's so many different things that can happen. And you really have no clue what to expect pain-wise, especially if you're planning to do a natural birth with no epidural or only natural pain management methods like comfort measures and different positions and counter pressure and all that kind of stuff. So it's hard to prepare for your first birth, but you learn a lot during that first time. And then if you do have another child, you inevitably have things that you want to do differently. So these are my 4 things that I will do differently. There's a quote that I think is extremely relevant to this post, and it is that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. I know I'm crazy sometimes, but hopefully I'm not insane. As a naive first-time mother, I had this vision of a peaceful, birth, bringing our daughter into the world. Well, that is not at all what happened. If you didn't catch it, go and watch my last video. I'll put a link for it down at the bottom in the description of my birth story. It did not turn out at all like I wanted it to or like I expected. And that's one reason why I have these resolutions that I'm gonna do things differently with the hopes of a better outcome. So go check that out if you missed it. So number 1 thing that I will do differently is attempt to eat healthier and gain less weight this time. My weight gain stayed within the range. It was at the very top of the range for my starting weight, what they said I should gain during the pregnancy. I think I ended up gaining like 35 pounds, which was the top limit of where I had started. Which, it's not horrible. I know that some people gain way more, but it was really difficult postpartum to lose that weight, especially when we dealt with a lot of struggles postpartum with the newborn stage. She had tongue and lip ties, so we dealt with that and having to go back and forth to the city for therapy and, not sleeping and all the newborn struggles, plus adding a few in there, plus the, traumatic birth, recovering from that. So it was very difficult trying to lose weight during all that. So that's one thing I'm really working hard on this time, is eating healthier. Not eating, really cutting back hard on the sugar, which I try to do anyway. But when you're pregnant and you're sick and that's what sounds good, it's easy to just eat that because it sounds good. Number 2 is I will insist on confirmation of the baby's position in the 2nd trimester. Like I said, this is all to do with the last birth, so if you didn't watch that, go check it out. But I did not do this last time, and I greatly regret it because it turned the whole birth experience into a horrible thing. But I will insist that we know 100% what position this baby is in before I go into labor. And fortunately, where I'm going this time, I'm not going back to the same birth center. I'm going to a hospital that is very natural birth friendly. It's pretty much like the birth center, but in a hospital. They let you do the tubs and all that kind of stuff. But they actually do a 36-week ultrasound as a standard for every mom. So that's not a problem. I'm not going to have to fight for that one. But I would recommend every mother do that, regardless of, even if you have to pay for it out of pocket. It would be worth it to not get to your birth center 10 centimeters dilated, ready to push that baby out, and find out that it's breech. Trust me on this one. You don't want that to happen. So that's the second thing. Number 3 is freezer meal prep. I totally failed at freezer meal prep last time. I worked as a waitress. I still am a waitress, but I just put in my notice at work. I'm super excited. So I did work last time as a waitress 3 nights a week, all the way up until 2 weeks before I went into labor and had my little girl. So needless to say, I was exhausted the majority of the time, already tired from pregnancy, and then, you know, on my feet for 6 hours at a time working as a waitress, running back and forth. It was very exhausting. And so I had really good intentions. You know, I was going to start my freezer meals next week. I'll start my freezer meals next week. And, you know, it never happened. So I did have some friends that made me some freezer meals, but they didn't last very long. And we ran out and didn't have easily prepped food ready to pull out and heat. So this time I made my list, and I'm actually going to start really soon working on those freezer meals and sticking them in there, so we'll have them both, you know, at the end of the pregnancy when you're just super miserable and don't feel like cooking, and then also after, you know, those postpartum days when it's just really difficult to get in there and cook anything. Also, I'm going to make a bunch of batches of the healthy lactation cookies. I'll put a link for those too. They're really delicious, and they totally got me through those days where you have this newborn and like it's hard to even eat. These cookies got me through it, and I felt good eating them because they're healthy and they're full of very nutritious ingredients. So check those out. I'm gonna make a bunch of them and freeze them individually so that I can just take out a few and pop in the oven and bake them really quickly and easily. The fourth thing that I will do differently this time, and it's going to be hard for me just because of my personality. I'm not like one of those strong, dominant personalities, but the fourth thing that I'm committing to do this time is to trust my instincts, because I didn't last time, and that's part of the reason that we were basically in a world of hurt for a few months there, because my instincts told me that we needed to leave for the hospital around 5 or 6 in the morning, which was 5 or 6 hours earlier than we got there, and the midwife was still saying don't come when we were heading that way. From an hour away, the midwife, who had not even seen me, didn't know exactly what was going on, but had talked to me on the phone, and other people on the phone were telling her we need to come down there, and she was still saying, oh, it's gonna be a while, just go ahead and stay at home, it's gonna be still a while. I wish I would have trusted my instincts earlier and said, no, we're coming now, but I didn't. I kind of let her push me around a little bit, and she didn't know what was going on, obviously. I probably still would have ended up with a C-section if we had gone earlier, but it wouldn't have been the emergency situation that it was by the time we got there. I trusted her because she was the expert, but this time, I'm going to be trusting what I feel like is right, because I kind of had my faith in the experts shattered a little bit, and I'm not gonna put 100% of my trust in someone who doesn't have any skin in the game. Because honestly, I mean, while they do care, they go home at night and it doesn't affect their life after the fact. It's you that's gonna be affected. And also, on that same topic about trusting your instincts and not the expert on the situation, I'm not saying do that all the time, because there are times that you need to trust what your doctor is telling you. But if you strongly feel like what they're telling you is not right, you need to investigate that, because God gives us those feelings for a reason. Call it a gut feeling or instincts or whatever you want to call it, but we are given those feelings for a reason. Don't ignore them. So I have a little short story related to my last point of trusting your instincts. I had a friend that was also going to the same birth center I was going to, And after all my whole situation went down at her next appointment, she asked the midwife about it. And the midwife's response to her was, if I had been in her care, that she would have insisted that an ultrasound would have been done to confirm that the baby was head down. I'm probably going to be blurry, but if I had been in her care, okay, I saw her throughout my pregnancy multiple times, and she also said that the baby was head down. So if I wasn't in her care, following that logic, I also would not have been in the other two midwives' care. So who exactly was taking care of me if I wasn't in their care? You know, it makes you think, what's the point of a midwife even being there if they're not going to take responsibility for being the expert and making those decisions? But anyway, so if I had trusted my instincts, I wouldn't have trusted them when they said the baby was head down, because I didn't believe them. I was very skeptical. And I also would have gone to the birth center probably 5 hours or 6 hours earlier than what I did. So trust your instincts. If you really have a feeling that what they're telling you is not jiving with what's going on, question it. Make them check it out. You know, they don't have skin in the game and you do. But those are my plans and intentions for altering the outcome of my second delivery, which will be a VBAC, and hopefully we will achieve the peaceful birth that I still have envisioned. We'll see. Thank y'all for joining, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye. This lovely little font on the confirmation of, and the fourth thing, I can count, I promise.